You're listening to the Run for Your Lives podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And this is the Run for Your Lives podcast.
This episode is the supernatural horror film The Gate, directed by Tibor Takács and released May 15th, 1987. Maybe I got that name right. I tried my best. It's a Hungarian name, and I don't know how to pronounce it, so I even went online earlier and was trying to find a pronunciation of his name, and I was like on his Twitter. I did the best I could.
No, that is exactly how I would pronounce it. So if you're wrong, I'm wrong also. And that, that's how it's got to be.
Yeah.
So, Pake, welcome to 1980s filmmaking.
Uh-huh. Well, I've seen 80s movies before.
No, but this is real 80s filmmaking. I rank it up there with movies like Ghoulies or Critters. Movies like that with little creatures in them. And this one, I don't think I watched it since I originally watched it in 1988.
Mm-hmm. And I haven't seen it since earlier today. So
yes.
It's the first time I watched it. This was a first for me. I had never heard of this movie. I did not know it existed. I knew literally nothing about it until from the time we were recording this, maybe just a couple of weeks ago, when it just kind of came across me. I was looking at other movies and it just popped up randomly. And I was like, I don't know what this is. I've never heard of this, but I read the little synopsis thing on it and I'm like, it fits. If we need something to do, I was like, it's kind of short. And if we need something that we can knock something out quick on a certain week, if we're busy, and so I'll keep it there. And I hinted it to you and then we're like, hey, let's just do it.
Right.
And,
yes, so we move forward with it. I, of course, when you suggested it to me, I knew exactly what it was. Even though I hadn't seen it in quite a long time. The only thing that I did forget is that Stephen Dorff is in it. And he's just so young, 11 years old when he's in this movie. So it was cool to kind of see that and then just remember some of his later roles where he was a bit more badass than he appeared in this one.
Yeah. Even though he's kind of the one that saves the world, I guess, it's kind of on that whole scale. At the end, the demons are coming to take over the entire planet based out of his backyard, basically. But yeah, even though he's the one that saves everything in the end, I still don't know if I would call the character of Glenn a badass kid.
No, not at all. That's why I said he played characters later that were much more of a badass, because this, I think he was much more of a terrified kid and just doing whatever he could to try to fix the situation.
Right.
Because it was a bit of it was out of control at times. Definitely. It was definitely a ride. That's what I'm going to say to start.
Yeah, I had fun with it. I did. I had a fun time watching this one.
I had a feeling, for some reason, all I could think about is that you would come up with 101 puns from this movie, or
I've got some fun jokes.
I'm sure you do.
I've got some fun jokes.
I bet you do.
They're coming.
So we're just going to kick off the way we always do with a little bit of behind-the-scenes stuff. It was filmed in Kleinburg and Toronto, Ontario, Canada. It's a joint production between the U.S. and Canada. The script was written by Michael Nankin, who originally had planned on directing the film. He based the script on the nastiest thoughts from his childhood. However, not all things were nasty, as he did have a best friend named Terry. This movie has a cult following, and as we mentioned a few minutes ago, it's the film debut of Stephen Dorff. Not just a young Stephen Dorff in this movie. This is when he burst onto the scene, 1987. The budget was $6 million, and it grossed $13.5 million at the box office. It's 85 minutes long. Pake, give us a synopsis.
All right. Kids, when left at home alone, accidentally unleash a horde of malevolent demons from a mysterious hole in their suburban backyard. That's pretty much it.
I think that captures it perfectly. I mean, yeah, there was a mysterious hole. The kids were left alone. And yeah, I guess it kind of was an accident that the demons got out, but...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they managed to accidentally perfectly perform some kind of satanic ritual. Like...
Yeah. Yeah. The whole time that I'm watching it, and all the destruction is happening, all I can think of is that the dad was really not happy that they had a hole in the backyard and that something had caught on fire on the roof when they were launching, I think, one of the rockets earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier in the film, he just seemed really irritated, and all I could think is, oh my god, when he comes home and sees this mess, what the heck is he going to say?
Oh, I know.
He's going to flip out.
And again, we talk about movies, we bounce around a lot, so I'm going we'll talk the very end of the movie, because hopefully you've seen this, listening to it, and if you're listening to this and you haven't seen it, those people that do that, which I won't judge you for, you know how we do, and so you're not worried about being spoiled anyway. But yeah, I just remember kind of like I put myself in the mind of Al, actually, of Alexandra at the end, going like, good luck explaining everything to your parents when they get home. It's like, well, you see, it's not that I'm a bad babysitter that you've been worried about this whole time. I did a good job. It's just that Glenn summoned demonic rulers from the underworld, and then I died, but it's all good now. So, the mess is fine.
Yeah. It's a beautiful house. I mean, the house was beautiful. I can't say that it looked that way. I mean, structurally outside it was good. The inside, it's when you walk in the front door.
There's another giant hole in the middle of the foyer.
Yes. It's very welcoming. Makes you feel right at home when you walk in.
Right.
Yeah, definitely not.
What are the parents thinking? Like, this kid has a problem digging holes. And these are some massive... How does he even dig these holes? Is he renting construction equipment behind our backs and we don't see it?
Yeah.
This kid his parents are, very confused and concerned. Like, I don't want to be in that position of so what happened was.
Yeah. Well, it all, we might as well just get into it. And who is the main character in this movie but Glenn, played by Stephen Dorff? Unless you object, Pake, and you think it's someone else.
No, I would say Glenn is definitely the focal point. Although I probably have equally amount of notes about Terry. Terry is my homeboy. I love that kid so much. That's my dude. I definitely relate to Terry it's in so many ways. So I really do enjoy him a lot. But
I knew it. I'm like, yep, that's who Peg's going to gravitate toward. I know.
Absolutely. But yeah, I would feel safe in saying Glenn is probably our main character, the main focal point. And because we kick the whole movie off with him having very darkly creative imagination in his nightmares.
Yeah.
And I was trying to... They still don't really ever answer the question, because it's just something right at the beginning. Because in his nightmare, I mean, he's seeing all these little things that come up later in the movie. The, flickering lights on the dinner table, and the creepy doll, and, all these little things, like the wind blowing. But then in his dream, he climbs up in the treehouse, and then the treehouse is struck by lightning, and it falls over. And then when he wakes up from this nightmare, the tree had actually fallen over and was being chopped up and, dismantled and taken away. So it's like, well, did that actually happen while he was asleep that last night? Or had the tree already fallen maybe a couple days before and it was just in his head, which is what fueled these dreams? We don't really get that answer, and I don't think it even matters. But it's just one of those things that I think about where I'm like,
Yeah. I don't know about that. I don't know what the answer is to that. I thought it was interesting how he just shook awake, and then they're like you said, chopping up the wood, and there's this big hole in the backyard caused by them ripping the stump out.
Mm-hmm.
Did the stump reveal the hole, or did it just get bigger after the stump was pulled out?
I feel like, because again, they don't explain this or really talk about it. It's kind of up to your own interpretation. But I feel like, I mean, I think about like shows like Supernatural or whatever, like any of these shows that deal with like portals and gates to hell. That there's probably just places that these gates are.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like natural phenomena or things that kind of keep them covered. So I think the tree was kind of a barrier. So when the tree is destroyed and taken away, then what's already there is then open and exposed. Because we do see at the end of the movie, after they have closed the hole and defeated it, there's like a little like sapling of a new tree growing in its place.
Yeah, I wondered about that too. I'm like, who planted that tree?
Right.
I don't know. They can't answer my questions, so
right. So a lot of those things I'm like, we didn't get answers to, but it's like, but I can make it up and sound good about it. At least come up with an idea in my own brain that might explain it.
Well, because I feel like Glenn's father was blaming him for the hole.
Yeah, that's why Glenn is grounded. Because he thinks that he just went out into the backyard and dug the hole, which I was like, well, the hole's there because the tree got uprooted.
Yeah.
But then the hole did and he actually did dig around after he found the geode that came out of the roots.
Yeah.
He was digging deeper in to try to find more like geode stuff. So, I mean, his dad wasn't wrong. He was out there in the backyard digging the hole bigger.
But he didn't dig the underground highway to hell.
Yeah, okay. That opened up later on its own.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
Which, random note, again, just on Glenn, I take note, of course, it's very, very 80s, and even kind of 90s, because this is late 80s, and the trend carried into the early 90s. The denim, and also, but like the jackets, and with all the patches on them. He's very, all these toy rocket stuff, so he has all these like astronaut and space travel patches. There's patches all over. And I was like, man, I freaking love that jacket. Which then goes into Terry was talking about like his jackets. I was like, I really like, he's got those denim jackets with the big patches for different like metal bands on the back.
Yeah.
Because the first one, like I saw it and I was like, he's got a freaking Venom patch on the back of his jacket. And I was like, that is so cool. Because I mean, Venom, a British heavy metal band that was very prominent in the 80s. So it was perfectly, plays. I mean, they pulled, I was going to say, like, it's not like they showed the time really well. Because no, this was made at that time. But they took a very prominent, like, metal band that kids like Terry probably would have really been jamming to. Like, I think they stuck the time period and like what kids were into at that time, or what people who liked that kind of music, like metal,
absolutely
were into when this came out. There's like, I feel like there's a lot of Venom fans that would have seen this movie and be like, oh hell yeah, fucking Venom. Like,
Absolutely.
So that was really cool. I was like, man, if he just opened a portal to hell, looking at like the his Killer Dwarfs and Venom jackets, his Slayer posters in his room, I was like, he's probably pretty cool with this. Yeah. It's probably fine for him. So then I found some interesting notes on that. The album that he's listening to that tells him how to deal with all of this stuff from Sacrifix.
Sacrifix, yes.
Which is a fictional band made for the film to add to the story. However, it did lead me down a little bit of a rabbit hole. So there is a band called Sacrifix now. It is a thrash metal band that was formed in 2020. So newer band. They've only got one album out. When their vocalist, Frank Gasparotto, was in quarantine, COVID stuff, not doing anything, he decided to go down a, binging rabbit hole of a bunch of 80s horror movies. And The Gate happened to be one of the movies that he got into.
Oh my God. And
he found the name of his new project and started working on music under the name, him and his friends under the name Sacrifix. So there is a band now. Of course, he spelled it with a like IX at the end.
Okay.
In that form, which in the movie it is YX.
Yes.
So then
it's much cooler and much more 80s. I think.
Yeah, like Styx.
yes.
But then I was like looking more into like the YX thing, and although there's not a band Sacrifix with the YX, there is a song called Sacrifix, spelled with a YX, by a band, and the band is called Satan's Almighty Penis. That is not a joke.
Oh man, you really did go down a rabbit hole.
Yes. And that song and album was released in 2008. That band also named their song Sacrifix after this movie. They quote it as their source. So, yeah.
It does have a cult following.
Yeah.
Now, Peg, my question for you is, did you listen to this Sacrifix album?
I did. I listened to the band Sacrifix, a couple of their songs, and then I did listen to the song Sacrifice by Satan's Almighty Penis.
Yes.
So,
and what are your thoughts on it?
I enjoy metal music. Sacrifix, the band, I enjoyed better. Thrash metal band, vocals were really clear. I actually think their stuff was really good. I'll give a little plug. Spelled with an IX. Go check them out. They're a very small band. I managed to find them. Now, Satan's Almighty Penis, it's black noise metal. They basically call themselves, or like explain their own music as like, these are the sounds of chaos. And that's literally all. I mean, it is, unless you are like a diehard, like black metal, almost where it just sounds like you're listening to Static, you're probably not going to enjoy their stuff as much. But I did. Yes. You know me well enough to be like, if you're going down the rabbit hole when music's involved, you're also listening to these things, aren't you?
Yep.
Yes, I am.
Yes, you are. Yeah, that's not a surprise to me. That's why I had to ask you. And this has been our music segment.
Yeah.
Of the podcast.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So of course him and Terry, as the team that they are, working together, figuring out what's going on. Of course, Terry has his, revelation of what's going on a little bit later. But I think it's funny, Glenn, like, when they crack open the geode and then these like symbols and words get spelled out on the little like magnetic strip writing thing. It was like, I remember those things. I don't know what to call them, but I did have those.
No, I know. We all did. They were all really popular.
Right. And it was like a little Winnie the Pooh one or something. Like it was such a weird, like little, but it's funny when he's reading those off and then you're like, oh, that's the, Evil Dead moment or Cabin in the Woods moment where you're reading the thing when you shouldn't.
It's like, don't read it out loud. Keep it in your head.
Yeah. Even like the dog, Angus, is like laying in the corner and he even like looks up as he's reading it like, oh, you did not just say that.
And yet they did. Yes. It's like, oh, little brothers. They do make mistakes sometimes.
But it's funny how, like you said, they accidentally performed this like demonic ritual perfectly. It is funny because it's all happenstance, whether it's reading that thing off or he got a splinter from the wood from the treehouse, and that was the blood sacrifice. And then like the levitating was just because it's this like teenage party trick thing. Yeah. And then it became like a real supernatural levitating because of the demonic forces. And it's like, which is because he's like, way to go, guys. You magically floated my brother into lights and broke him. Yes.
It's so funny because Alexandra was trying so hard. Like I don't feel like she was enjoying that party much. She was running around the whole time, like picking up glasses and cleaning up after everyone. It's like, might be too late for that.
Right. It's a fun, she did a good job because anytime they showed the house after these parties that she was having, all these like get-togethers, it was immaculately clean. Like she definitely was watching, covering her tracks. But it was like that perfect teen trope of like the parents being like, don't throw any parties, and literally it cuts to
that's
party
what you
scene.
do.
Like,
yeah. That I feel like was the quintessential 80s line where parents told their kids don't throw any parties. Some of the best movies came about because parents said the line, well, don't you throw any parties now. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. Good idea, Mom and Dad.
It's like, and best BFFs are arriving like, an hour later with everything to start the party. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, then there's a lot of things that happen that I don't have a lot of specific Glenn notes, because then I tended to spend more time on like the demons and the creatures and all like the crazy things going on. But like, yeah, basically things are going bad, very bad. It's just a madhouse. Kind of cue Walk the Moon here. And then, seriously, just everything falling apart. Terry and Al are just taken by a wall zombie. Don't you hate when that happens?
Always. It's
every
never
time.
fun.
Yeah.
He
wall
just keeps
are the
coming.
Worst. But yeah, he's just going through all of this. Like, he's lost the dog, now he's lost his friend and his sister, and just everything seems hopeless. And then he has that little moment where I was like, all right, sure, Glenn, I'm just going to go with your line of thinking here, where he's like, energy derived from love and light. It's like, yes, clearly that means giant toy rocket.
Yeah.
Who doesn't put two and two together that way? Clearly.
I don't think it tied together at all, but I was just on the ride, so I didn't care.
Right.
I just like the little note that she left, that she wrote, that went with it.
Yeah.
It was very sweet, so.
Just better notes grammatically and writing. Because he got her like a little rocket for a birthday, and it was like for happy birthday or something. It was like, what?
I get the impression that rockets were a thing that the two of them did together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, there's the pictures of like them together with them, and seems like they were closer. And then
she grew up.
She became a little more. She's 16 in this movie, where it kind of becomes more her friends and hanging out and partying and boys and
going to the
beach in the mall. It's like she's becoming a teenage girl with her own life, and he becomes he's the kid brother who's kind of getting left behind. It's the tale as old as time.
I felt bad for him, because you could tell how much it affected him when she was throwing things out early on in the movie. She's just got a bunch of stuff and she's throwing it out, and he's just missing that time that they would spend together.
Yeah.
And then later on, she goes to the mall with her friends, and instead of going to the beach, she comes home and she's got rockets for them to launch, and was kind of this really cool bonding moment. And I liked that a lot. Kind of bringing them back together.
Yeah, that was nice.
I feel like this movie, part of it was about them, was about their relationship and how they were drifting apart. By the end, I feel like they had gotten closer again, but I still believe that no matter what, she's going to run off with her friends to do fun things, and he's probably still going to be the little brother that's left behind.
Yeah, I mean, she's getting older, and there's one little like scene that like it seems so weird, but like I kind of laughed at it. Is this moment where she's like going to bed and she's like checking herself out? It's like to see how hot she looks in her long sleeve 2-piece full body pajamas. It's like, it's not the best look, but you do you.
Remember the times, Pake. Remember the times. Oh, you can't. You can't remember the times. It was before your time that this movie came
Not by
out.
A lot, but a little bit.
Yeah, just a little. Just bit. A little. Year or two. Few years, real short time. Yeah.
Yeah, just his talk about Glenn's reactions to thing is we do get some like later on where he's like scared and terrified and kind of screaming, but a lot of it is just him going, oh no, like he just seems to kind of be like, I don't know what to do with this. Like I like when the wall starts like moving in that classic like Nightmare on Elm Street kind of thing with the walls pushing out and moving, and he's just going, oh no. And then like, wall's moving. That's supposed to do. Oh no.
Yeah.
Or then the whole like reopens and there's stuff, and he just looks at it. He's like, oh no.
I think we'd all be saying that though. I mean, what would you say? You look at it and just be you when you see something and you can't believe your eyes. It's like, oh no. For me, it would be, oh fuck.
Right.
This is not good.
I know, and he's fighting things off, and once he's the last one, I was like, man, this kid is going to be in so much trouble. It's like first he brought the demonic apocalypse upon the world, and then he got his sister sacrificed. But now, look at this mess he's made in his bedroom.
The bed falls over, like the mattress falls off the bed, and the bookshelf falls over, and stuff just going everywhere and getting broken. Yeah, it was a mess, but that bedroom is the least of the worries. It's that big hole in the living room floor. Yeah.
Yeah, but he went with that idea of the rocket, and he loved it. Like the first time he goes for it, and then the monster like popped up, which I thought, because I was like, it's Godzilla. I was like, no, it's just a demon, giant demon. And then like the way he like grabs his hand and then like looks at him for a little bit, and then just like moves on. I was like, oh, he just wants to be your friend.
No, he does not. That part creeped me out. The part after, when he looks at his hand,
hand-eye coordination. Talk about hand-eye coordination.
Man, oh,
which fun fact about this: Whitney Houston was quoted as saying this is one of her favorite scenes in any movie she had ever seen. She even wrote an entire song about it. How much she loves this scene. She goes, hand eye will always love you, because she will always remember this scene of the hand eye. It's great. Yeah.
Yes. I knew this was going to happen. I knew it.
No.
Oh my, this is just... Wow. And it took us, 25 minutes. 25 minutes to get to it. That's great. That eye on the hand creeped me out. Yeah. I just didn't like it. I can't explain why. Just didn't like it.
Yeah. But yeah, but then the second time when he, the demon is gone, but then he's lining up and getting that rocket ready again, because again, somehow he has figured out, like, that's what everything means, just toy rocket. Sure. But yeah, he gets it ready again, and then that demon just like shoots right back up, like, oh no, you didn't! What are you better not! Like, he's just, what do you think you're doing?
I thought he just wanted 350.
Yeah. Maybe.
If you watch South Park, you know what I mean.
Wait, that's not a demon, that's the Loch Ness Monster. No, and then, he shoots the demon with the rocket. It does work after he's slinging a poor clay boy around. And then the scene when, like, the demon blows up, I swear to God, I was dying laughing. I had to pause the movie and was cracking up so hard of the effect of Glenn, like, flying out the front door and, like, flipping, like, through the yard. It was so ridiculous. It was just one of those things. I was like, they were trying in '87.
We didn't have those things available at that time.
But it just, this like weird CGI, like child head over heels flying way too fast and far out the front door. I'm like, it killed me. I thought it was the funniest thing I've seen in a long time.
Oh my gosh. That's saying a lot.
I know.
That's saying a lot for you, because you just saw Letterkenny not that long ago, and I'm sure you were laughing at that, so.
But man, yeah, and then the demon blows up, and then I go, oh, it was all just an elaborate 4th of July display. Like, wow, I'm impressed. That's good.
Oh my gosh.
Happy Independence Day, from the demons to you.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't have a whole lot of notes for this one. I mean, I've got a little, but I mean, it's a quick one. It's cut and dry. It's fun. As is, I appreciated it, and I definitely highly recommend people check this movie out if you can find it and watch it, because it is something. I know there's a sequel.
I've got some information on that. You just wait.
I'm kind of curious, honestly. I'm kind of curious.
No.
But yeah, so that's really all the notes I have about Glenn. But I'll let you see if you have any more about Baby Dwarf.
I found his character so typical of 80s kids, like play, like they just get together and play. And I found it very typical that, yes, a kid would go dig a hole. I got in trouble once for digging a hole in the backyard. Turns out I was digging the hole too near the septic system. My mom, I didn't know. Like, I was a kid.
That ends up being a very messy, smelly problem for everybody if you do that.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my parents were not pleased. So, so digging a hole is definitely not out of the realm of possibility for a kid.
Yeah.
Back then we didn't have...
Who that was a kid in the 80s or 90s didn't dig holes?
Oh my God.
I know I'm in that.
That was like so much fun. Like you could sit there and dig for hours. Because you weren't bored. Like it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't know what you were going to find in there.
Mm-hmm.
So
usually it was dirt, more dirt.
Yes, more dirt.
Sometimes rocks and worms, roots.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Mostly dirt. Mostly more dirt. It was a lot of fun though, watching his character, because it did take me back to the simpler times of being a kid when you didn't have 100 different things to distract you. Like video games. Like I love video games. And they're a great distraction. But at the time, we may have had Nintendo and we definitely had Atari. But we did not have other stuff like that or too much TV to distract us. So, although I don't know what movie they were watching, at one point they were hanging out in I think it was Glenn's room or somewhere in the house. They had a movie on in the background. I think it was actually downstairs in the den because it was Alexandra was with them. The movie that was going on in the background, not sure what it was. It was a bit creepy. Like just what I saw of it, I'm thinking I don't know what that is. But it was cool to watch. I guess what I'm trying to say is that it was cool to kind of look back at how things kind of were in the 80s. Because I related to that. I really appreciated his relationship with his sister, and him and Terry as BFFs. That was a big part of the fun of this movie, was the two of them.
Yeah, for sure.
That and the fact that Terry's geode that he was playing around with, when I first saw it, to me it looked like they'd taken a basketball and put mud all over it. Like, it just was so round. I'm like, okay, this looks like a basketball that stayed out overnight and got rained on and got in a mud puddle. Okay.
And petrified. And that's how that's the prequel to Space Jam. Now,
oh my gosh.
But yeah, so is that all you got there?
That's what I have, yes.
All right, and even though I would call Terry even more of a main character, do have some notes about Al. I've covered most of them. I didn't have a whole lot. That she was just kind of there to be the thorn and poor Glenn's side, but also, the sisterly connection and the sibling connection definitely does show back up, as we've talked about. But yeah, just some of the good moments that I've talked about with her. Once she realizes what's going on, that she's not afraid to step up and help her brother and his friend fight whatever, while her friends are too busy hiding and being awful people.
The Lee sisters, yes.
Which, again, another thing that cracked me up a lot that I thought was really funny was after they thought they had defeated it and closed it for the first time, and they go back in and find the Lee sisters hiding in the closet, in the pantry or whatever, with garlic all around their necks. I was like, that's actually incredibly hilarious.
Yes. Garlic does nothing for demons. Vampires maybe, but not demons.
They're trying to cover all the bases. But she was willing to step up and fight, taking on the wall zombie. I know he's like the dead handyman or whatever, but I like wall zombie better.
Well, it started that was just a story that I believe Terry told was about.
Yeah, because even when he's like, it's the handyman, he's like, I made it up. And it kind of seems that that's what like the whole attack of this like demon was to mess with their minds a little bit and pull things from their own fears and project them onto them a little bit.
Oh yeah, they're terrifying of the house getting destroyed and having to explain it to their parents. So the demon helped him with that. They got
definitely.
that fear down.
Yeah. But yeah, so they're fighting that wall zombie, I'll call him. I like that. And that moment where she just throws the boombox right at his face.
Yes.
Which I was like, that's what you call sweet chin music right there.
My God.
And then he's like stunned and falls over and then splits into a bunch of the minions.
That was so, like, I've seen this ad, okay, where a guy is walking down the street wearing this coat. He gets home, closes the door, and then all these ferrets let go and run off, and that's what it reminded me of. Like this man walking down the street, kind of like having a little swagger and a big fur coat, and then he gets home, and it's just ferrets that have all joined together. And so when I saw that, that's what it reminded me of.
That's funny. Yeah, but I love the minions. We'll talk about those later. But definitely really love those. But yeah, Wall Zombie does end up getting Al in the in the other closet.
Yeah.
Eventually, with the shotgun, he just slaps the shotgun in half. Like, how strong is that?
How the heck? Yeah. Because he didn't look to me to be very strong. But then he's grabbed her foot and she's upside down and he drags her into the closet to disappear into the world of hell.
Yep. Which, I guess, none of that's very permanent, which is good. At least you can keep the movie lighthearted enough in that way that when Glenn does defeat the demon at the end and then Terry and Al come back out of the closet, and Angus too. And I was like, well, that's good.
I was grateful for
everybody's back.
Because the whole thing with Angus made me sad.
Yeah, there's some pretty fucked up stuff with that dog. The whole idea of the demon, baiting Terry in by being a ghost version of his mother, that we got the information that she had died the year before or something.
Yeah.
And so that I was like, that's actually really creepy and messed up. And then it turns out to be the dead dog, and you're like, well, that's really messed up.
That's really messed up, yeah.
And then God, Al leaving it to her dipshit friend Eric. Could not stand that guy.
Yeah, he was awful.
Try to take care of the dog, and then he's driving around with a dead dog in the passenger seat of his car, and he's just like, oh, what was it? Was the Humane Society? I was like, what the fuck are they gonna do with a dead dog?
You take it to a vet, or you bury him in the backyard.
Right, which that's what he ends up doing. I was like, of course he's gonna put him in the demon hole.
Yes,
right after it cuts from Terry and Glenn being like, well, the sacrifice wasn't fully complete because the sacrifice didn't go in the hole, so we're good. And then cut to and he's in the hole. We're good to go.
You knew it. You knew that he was not going to dig another hole to bury that dog. You knew that he was way too lazy for that. He was going to go and drop him in the hole that was already dug.
Mm-hmm.
You knew it. I mean, it's how it is.
Yeah.
It's who he is.
Mm-hmm. Just what is up with that guy? Immediately, because I figured he's some just whatever, typical teenage whatever. But no, what got me with him is of course is when he's just sitting there. They're sitting there around the table or whatever that morning after the party, and Glenn's sitting, and he just grabs Glenn's bowl of cereal and just starts eating it. I'm like, you just took the kid's cereal. What is wrong with you, you monster?
Yeah. I didn't like it when he and two of his friends showed up, and the Lee sisters want her to just go off with them. And she's just like, well, I just can't do that. You leave the house with these boys. And he just says, she's not ready for me yet. And I'm just like,
she's beyond you, dude.
You're not going to be ready for her. She's way more mature than you are. She's handled demon shit now. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Those Lee sisters and their purple streaks.
Oh my goodness. I never did that. I never did that.
Yeah, it's like the clown-faced one. I just call her that because that's what Glenn was really making fun of her for. aren't you supposed to be at the circus? But I was like, man, what is up with her just looking like she was electrocuted with that hair?
Yeah, that, I remember that hairstyle, and we didn't try to make it stand straight up like you've been putting your finger in a light socket.
Yeah, no.
It was more of a curl thing going on.
Honestly, if you want to know my first thought when I saw that hair,
oh gosh,
something about Mary. That's
yeah,
all.
I knew it.
That's what I was like. That's the only thing that I think of when I see that.
Oh my goodness. Oh man.
If you know, you know. I don't need to elaborate on that.
Oh, one. I know, and I've never really seen the movie, but I definitely know what you're talking about because I've seen the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Something about hair gel? Yeah.
Sure,
I'm just going to leave it at that.
But 80s, different time. I was like, this is the only mention I'm going to make of it. But I was like, while watching this, like, oh, there's definitely some language and terms and words that we really realized are not okay to go with anymore. And here at Renfield Lives, we don't condone that. But
no. So,
okay.
Yeah.
And that's all. I'm not going to repeat those lines. Not even going to hint at them, really. But I was like, while watching it, there's a few, and I'm like, okay.
It was 80s. A very, very different time. And I think it wasn't just like the hair, it was the clothes, it was the language, it was everything. That is just how things were. It was a very different time than now. And when I see styles kind of going back to that era, I just shake my head and say, I've lived through it once. I'm not going to do it again. It's over and done. Don't close the door. Close the gate. Don't come back.
So any other notes on characters that aren't Terry before we talk about my boy Terry?
Oh, Terry.
Got too close to that hole.
Good old Terry.
Back up, Terry. Back up, Terry.
Oh, you're killing me tonight. You really are.
Terry, no.
Oh my God.
Terry, what you doing?
Oh my God.
Back it up, Terry. Oh God. That's another that's like a very niche like reference that if people do get it, I love you.
Oh man. Oh God.
So yeah.
No, Pake, I'm ready to move on to Terry.
All right, Terry. Which I've thrown in some of my notes about him already, but that's it. Like the jackets with the patches. Like the first thing I saw, like when he first showed up, and I was like, Venom, hell yeah.
Did you know who Venom was before?
Yeah,
you did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
yes.
All right, good.
Didn't know Venom. However, the other one, Killer Dwarves, I was not familiar with, but I did look into him a little bit. And again, it was just the time and even like the area that this was filmed in. So I did look up Killer Dwarves, which was also they had a good little moment in those years, right there in 86, 87, 88. But they were a Canadian.
Yep, they were out of Toronto.
Yeah, they were a Canadian metal band that were really big kind of in that area. Yeah. But weren't very like nationally known or didn't really break too big in America.
More of a local thing, I think.
But it was more of like a local band that people in the area where this was filmed definitely would have known who they were if they were into that scene. And so I thought that's just like a really cool like nod towards kind of the local area where they were filming too.
I guess I would say that they looked at the area and pulled in local pieces to showcase the area. I mean, it's cool that they did that. I mean, they didn't have to. They could have found they could have had a jacket made with Black Sabbath on it, and people would have been like, oh, okay. So it's cool that they took the extra step for that.
For sure. Terry, one of the earlier lines in him that I really like is after Al leaves and Glenn has it. Ever since I burnt a hole in the roof, my dad says I can't launch any of my rockets without supervision. And the way he just right after goes, hey, I'll supervise. I was like, I like the way you think, kid.
I I loved when he said, we accidentally summoned demons who used to rule the universe to come and take over the world. And Glenn is explaining it. Yeah, we found out about it from one of Terry's albums. Like, it's no big deal. Like, it came from a record. Even though 10 minutes before he was trying to explain to Terry, this can't be real because, this is a record. Yeah, right. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, which I was like, of course, leave it to Terry with his extensive knowledge of like satanic metal and dark elements. He's the one that's going to figure out what's going on from this album. Which also just he looked pretty funny mouthing along the words to the track he was listening to with this like rainbowish bright blanket over his head, like a cloak. It's like that imagery. I was like, this is fun. I like this.
It's what you did. Girls used to wrap towels around their heads and let the long part hang down to pretend you had long hair. I mean, it's just what you did when you were doing stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, so it did talk about, him falling in the hole a little bit. Was it back up, Terry? But no, he's just too confidently close to the hole while he's reciting his Bible at it. And then he falls in, and Glenn and Al are both going, Terry, Terry, Terry. And I just while watching, just out loud went, there is no Terry, only hole. No.
Oh my gosh. It was funny when he was like trying to read the Bible verse, and then he just finally had to do more. And he's like, may the old devils depart, may they burn in the fires of their own damnation, may they freeze in the infinite golden darkness of their own hideous creation. And Glenn, as usual, is like, isn't that kind of insulting? And Terry says, I guess it's supposed to be. I mean, we're trying to get rid of them.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, sure.
Yeah, it's got this dark book, which ends up getting... God, these asshole demons just keep setting everything on fire.
Yes.
The book, the phone, like, definitely wrong number there. Don't answer that one.
No.
Just sets on fire and melts. Yeah, so they end up just kind of backup plan of the Bible. To think it's funny, obviously it's not working very well at first. I think Terry's just like, you're just making them mad.
Imagine how cool it would have been to hear Firestarter during that. The song, it would have been great. Of course, that came out much like 10 years later, I think. So, yeah, didn't fit.
But it's funny that Terry gets back up there and he's still trying to read, and then finally he just throws it into the hole.
Yeah.
And that's what works as it explodes. I was like, man, talk about Bible thumping. Tossing it in there like a grenade. So in the beginning, God said, boom! And then they thought they were safe, and then wall zombie.
Yeah, and then the doorbell rings, and they're freaking out, and Terry's like, demons aren't going to ring the doorbell. And he was right. I mean, Terry had the best lines in this whole movie. He really did.
Yes, he did.
He was great.
And he even got to play, the actor got to play some scary stuff, too, a little bit after he was taken.
Yeah. My gosh.
Turned into some kind of creepy demon-possessed rat boy.
Yes.
Who can only be deterred by Barbie leg to the eyeball, which, I mean, usually I have found that works. So
I guess, yeah. I'm glad that you can confirm that it actually works.
Yeah. Yeah. Usually it does the trick.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Terry was a lot of fun in this.
Definitely. That might be all of the character notes that I have, but I've got some more demon stuff.
You do? Mm-hmm. Are you going to talk about the little minions? Because I know that you're just dying to talk about the little minions.
I'm definitely going to talk about them.
I have some production notes on the little minions.
Yeah, I might take those from you.
Oh, really? Okay.
I did some digging.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Demon stuff and all before I get to the minions, but of course we have the moths that like came out of the hole, and I remember they bust through the window, and I was like, "Oops! All hell, moths!" From Captain Crunch. Then that's when things just get all demony, and it's like, man, at first you think Terry like slept through all of that, and you're like, "What the hell?" But then no, I guess he went to the bathroom because that's when you get another really fucked up kind of thing with the dog. I was like, this poor dead dog is getting no respect. Man.
Yeah.
But then there's some fun stuff. You're under the bed demon arms that are into socks. The parents, the thing where like they took the form of their parents in the driveway. Honestly, I was laughing and grinning with just joy during that scene because there's some incredible practical effects used that I really appreciated in all of that.
Really? Are you going to tell us about it?
No, I didn't do any digging on exactly what they were, but just watching it and knowing that like that was clearly practical stuff like that they did with a lot of it, and it just looked really cool. As somebody who used to play around with makeup and gore and things in like haunted houses, it was really fun to watch, to be like, oh, that's fun. Like there's some creativity put into that.
I think in a future episode, we're going to need to have no talk about movies, and we're just going to talk about your adventures working in a haunted house. I feel like that's a great episode to do in October.
It could be. I'd have to. It's been a while. I'd have to really think to remember a lot of things. But yeah, so what the demon voice, couldn't make out what it said, but it caught the phone on fire and melted it. So I was like, shouldn't have answered that one. Worse than any telemarketer. But yeah, the minions. The minions were definitely my favorite thing. Very fun. There's some like old school claymation used in some of the stuff. But what was really cool was the minions themselves, because like, well, they're not claymation. There's something different about those. I was trying to figure it out. And I was like, I need to know everything about the creation of these things. So I waited until after the movie. But then I went on a little dive. So I have an article from Bloody Disgusting, and I kind of pieced together. It's still kind of a long-ish read, but I took bits and pieces to go through it. So just kind of give an idea of what went on there. So this is from Bloody Disgusting. This is special visual effects designer and supervisor Randall William Cook designed the Minions. Cook created illustrations and then a maquette for the Minions. And special makeup artist Craig Reardon, with his small crew of 5, set about making full-size suits using Cook as a model. That's right, the Minions in the gate aren't tiny after all, but fully grown men wearing foam latex suits.
Yes.
Reardon and his team created roughly 15 suits that Cook had asked for, with mix-and-match claws and feet designed to be worn separately to give more variance to the Minions. From there, Reardon could layer the shots as needed to make it look like there were 30 to 45 Minions on screen versus just the 15 suits that they had to work with. This meant that most of the sequences involving the Minions made very impressive use of forced perspective. Yes. Scenes like Al and Glenn pressed against the bedroom wall as the dead workman crashed onto the floor, only to spill into dozens of Minions, looks straightforward but proved to be far more complex with the forced perspective. In reality, Denton and Dorff, who played Al and Glenn, Stephen Dorff played Al and Glenn, were strapped to wires dangling above the Minions, shot on a lower level against enlarged furniture, some in pieces to further the perspective, given the optical illusion of scale. The forced perspective was taken a step further by shooting at a slow speed and having the child actors move at a much slower speed, while the actors in Minion suits were instructed to move faster, giving the normal speed playback even speedier Minion movement. So it's like, if you've seen those videos of those like optical illusions where it's like a big chair and then like the camera turns and it's actually like 7 different pieces of metal that are just like in a line. They had to do that with furniture and the way the rooms were set up, and
yeah,
it's wild.
Yeah, some of it too is normal. Well, it's like normal size things placed further away from the camera, and it is all about perspective. And
the one I still can't wrap around and figure out, and I couldn't find something online, is when when Terry's down in the hole trying to climb back out. And I mean, there's like little like rubber, like the puppets that are biting on him and stuff. But then they have them like grabbing his leg and trying to pull his leg, and he's like kicking his leg around, and they're holding on to it. I'm like, do you have a giant leg? But it but it didn't look like a like fake leg. Like it looked like the kid. I was like, man, I couldn't figure that one out.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how they did that. I did think it was quite strange when he was kind of stepping on the one. It just kept like shaking and acting all wiggly. I thought that was kind of strange.
Mm-hmm.
But cool at the same time.
Yeah. But that is all the notes I have on the gate.
Wonderful. I wasn't sure what you were going to think of this, except that I thought you might have lots of little jokes and things, because it was just kind of a bit of fun late 80s movie. Like I said, I watched it once, and then I watched it again to do this to do this podcast. I've not watched it in between, and if you had asked me what it was about, all I could remember about it was that it was a big hole. And that the kids accidentally opened it up. That's all I could remember.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that we have pretty much covered the gate.
All right. Other than, of course, the fantastic trivia and production notes that you always dig and find a little more, I want to say behind the scenes, but you do like a behind the scenes thing at the beginning, which is more just kind of making, or you're setting up.
It's basic info. It's basic info, behind it. It's honestly, it's basic information about the movie without giving anything away. Yeah. This is more of the deep dive into the things that happen behind the scenes. And I do have a few things that you didn't steal when you were talking about the Minions. So. Yeah, well, I was doing that little deep dive on the Minion stuff and like taking some, quotes and stuff from that article. And I was like, if I know Daphne, she's probably has information about these in hers as well. But I'm so into it that I'm going to grab it anyway. It's fine. We've talked about a few of these things already, so I'm not going to rehash them. So we'll just go through what I do have that we haven't previously talked about. So Menken wrote the first script when he was unemployed and recently divorced. In the original script, Glenn and Al were depicted as being more mischievous than we saw in the final movie. Also, the demons took over the whole town and dragged neighbors out to kill them. He originally envisioned the lead demon to be gigantic and composed of bloody entrails. However, that isn't really what we saw. Mm-hmm. After The Gate in the sequel, Menken mostly wrote for television. So we talked a bit already about Randall William Cook, who was the special effects artist who led the charge for The Gate. He used his own hand and eye to create the scene where the eyeball appears in Glenn's palm. Again, so creepy. Mm-hmm. The house was a real home in Toronto, but the exterior exit had to be constructed for the production, featuring brick stairs and a bug zapper. A new housing development had been built behind the home, so the crew built a fence around the backyard to block it from view. We already talked about Terry's multiple jackets. The Bible passage the Lee sisters picked out was from different portions of Psalm 59 verses 1 to 9. However, there's not an existing version in any Bible that states, "Deliver me from my enemy's Father in heaven." The latter of this phrase was strictly fabricated by Hollywood. Takács went on to direct such movies as Killer Rats, Mansquito, Ice Spiders, and Mega Snake.
Need to see them all. Got to do them all. No. They all sound amazing.
The sequel was written by Menken. It was directed by Tibor Takács. It was called The Gate 2 Trespassers, and it was released in 1990. Of the main cast, only Louis Tripp, who played Terry, returned. The premise is that it's been 5 years since he and Glenn accidentally opened the gate, and Glenn and his family have moved away. Yeah, Dad couldn't get over the destruction of the house, I'm sure.
Yeah, they're like, we just gotta leave this house behind and start over. Man, there's no fixing this.
Terry, who now goes by Terrence, wants to reopen the gate to use the power to help his father get his life back on track. It grossed about $2 million at the box office. I don't remember ever seeing it, so I couldn't tell you how good it is or how bad it is.
Mm-hmm. Probably not great, but you never know.
Yeah. No, it could be good. I'm sure you'd like to check it out too.
I'm very curious.
You want a little more time with your buddy Terry. Oh,
yeah, me and my boy Terry got to hang a little more.
Yeah. And that's all I have. I feel like we have covered this movie pretty well.
Yeah, I think so. Let's see. Whoa. Might be some people had some thoughts about this one.
I think they might.
I'm going to try to answer this phone. It better not catch on fire and melt on me, but we will see.
Oh, be careful.
All right, we've got a little bit of feedback this week, more than I expected off of this film, and that is awesome. I love when we get unexpected great feedback for like random things that, because when we pick movies, we're like, we never know what's gonna stick, what's gonna hit, and so I was like, yeah, nobody knows this movie, and then turns out a lot of people knew this movie, and that's really cool. So
yeah. I was surprised.
Yeah.
When I went to check Facebook and saw all the comments, it's like, oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
All right. But of course, would it be a feedback section of Run for Your Lives without starting with last week's movie? A little bit of late feedback, which is okay because we always enjoy it and appreciate it and allow it. So yes. I will let you take that. We do have a little bit of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom feedback.
We do, and I'm excited because you know what, Pake? This is Dominion week.
Mm-hmm.
Dominion.
I'm literally going to see Dominion after we're done recording this. So.
I can't believe you're going to see it before me, but I wanted the IMAX experience, so I will stick with that. So Damien says, hey guys, unfortunately I haven't seen The Gate, but it's an 80s movie, so I may have to check it out. I think you should, Damien.
Mm-hmm.
I actually want to talk about your previous episode, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. I certainly think the first Jurassic World movie was much better. This sequel just seemed to fall a little short for me, but I can't really put my finger on why. The action was there. I loved when they returned to the island, but when they left, it seemed to drag. So I would say overall it's good, but not great. The thought of the dinosaurs that didn't make it off the island is sad and depressing. Totally agree. And we even saw that last one at the dock disappear in the fire. Yep, I cried. Not Damien didn't cry. Daphne cried at that. Then they auctioned some of his weapons of mass destruction to the highest bidder. Just a big downer. I'm looking forward to seeing Dominion, and I know you guys are too. Hope you aren't disappointed.
Yeah, we will see. There are a lot of mixed reviews out there for it. I don't really care. Like, I'm excited. I'm still going opening night because it's a Jurassic movie, and yeah, I'm going to go see it as soon as I can, and I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to have it, even if it sucks in the realm of movies. Like, it's dinosaurs, and it's Chris Pratt, and it's Jeff Goldblum.
I know. I know.
So
I don't care.
Sam Neill back. So, like, yeah, I
just feel like, honestly, covering my ears and going, la, 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 la. I don't want to hear anyone's reviews or thoughts on it because I'm going to form my own opinion, and I'm going to like it because it's got dinosaurs in it, and they have new ones. I'm just excited to see what they do with it.
Right. So I'm excited just to go have the experience with it, and we will cover it on this podcast.
We will
for sure. I mean, it's not going to be like, oh, it's out in theaters this week, so we're going to cover it next week. No. We've talked about that and stuff. We've done that with a lot of these reviews or these like newer releases. It's people could go out to theaters and we're going to go watch it in theaters. But if I'm going to see a movie in theaters and I'm paying for it in theaters, I'm not going to sit there and take notes. I want to sit and enjoy. And so we give people plenty of time to think about it. If you have thoughts and feedback on it, if you do see it in theaters, maybe jot them down, send them to us.
Yeah, you can send them to us now. You can go ahead and
send feedback now. And we will probably wait till the movie is out on streaming or digital or, for rent and purchase. Anyways, and then we will cover it then where it's a little more openly, available. And we can sit, have time to sit with it at home and pause it and take notes and really break it down.
Yeah. And we know that not all of our listeners are as into the Jurassic films as we are. So it may take you a little time to watch it. We want to give you guys time to watch it. And we understand that in your busy lives, going to the theater just may not be something that you're doing right now. Mm-hmm. So we're going to give you a little time, give ourselves a little time to watch it and let it soak in.
Yeah.
And then we'll cover it in a bit.
Yep. But for now, let's get some more feedback. And this time we are back to The Gate, which was this week's movie. So I'm excited to see some feedback. The first one is from our friend Jerry in his punny as expected way, just says, "Is this the companion movie, or is the companion movie called The Fence?"
No, Jerry.
It's not the companion
The Gate
movie.
2.
Yeah, it's not the companion movie, but they are connected. You know, this one was an opening to The Fence.
Oh,
no.
I can't even.
They wanted it to be connected, but it got locked down. Nobody could get it through. Yeah.
There is another movie in the series called The Gate too.
Yes.
But, yeah. No. Rima had to say, "I loved this one so much when I was growing up. Those damn little demons scared the hell out of me. They are real creepy."
Mm-hmm.
That is for sure.
I liked them. And this one comes from Mark Kirkman, who says, "I loved this movie. I first saw it on cable TV, probably on HBO or Showtime the following year it came out. It was always an underrated movie for its time. I loved the demon tropes within the movie. Terry was that typical nerdy kid with the glasses that was obsessed with heavy metal music and the darkness. I loved his wall of rock posters, and it reminded me when I was in my teenage years. I always loved that type of character within these films. The Killer Dwarves provided the soundtrack of the heavy metal music for the film. Loved the construction worker within the wall that was zombified as it comes out. And plus the stop-motion animation for the demon at the end that reminds me of something out of H.P. Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos that he wrote about in the 30s. The geode rock they found in the hole always made me want to go digging for one, but not that one. LOL." That's great.
Yeah.
I love it, Mark. Thanks for writing in. It's good to hear from you.
Yeah, definitely.
I should have known this was a movie that would speak to Mark personally. Yeah. I should have known.
He likes this style. Like, he's a really big movie buff, and he likes this stop-motion claymation type of movie. So.
Yeah, for anybody who thinks that the name of Mark Kirkman might be familiar, I mean, we throw out to his Panels to Pixels and Adrenaline Cinema and stuff all the time here. But we've had him on here before because we brought him on for some Godzilla coverage, because that's how we introduced him on that was. I mean, he's probably the biggest Godzilla fan I know personally. So yeah,
definitely.
He's very much in that realm.
Yeah. I think he covered Dante's Peak with us also.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. And we do, of course, have one voicemail from Steve Brown. A little bit of live Steving. Maybe not. I know he's been busy. He's been on vacation. So he did write into Strange Indeed recently with just kind of a quick little update and not so much live Steving. So that might be the case here. I don't know. I haven't listened to this, but we'll see what he has to say.
All right.
Hey, Pake and Daphne, it's Steve. This is for The Gate, I think is what you're doing this week. No live, Steve. I've just got back from vacation, and it's such a great vacation. But I did recently watch The Gate. Recently. Like, within the last 3 years, I want to say, I revisited it for something. I remember it being, the nostalgia of... I don't remember if I saw it when I was a kid. So the nostalgia of just seeing an older movie like that was cool. And I don't remember if it held up or not. So I'll be excited to hear you guys talk about this one. All right. Talk to you later.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve, so much. And hope you enjoyed this episode. If you listened to us here as we talked about it. And I'm glad you enjoyed your vacation. It looked like a lot of fun, and it's kind of one of those trips I've always wanted to do myself. I mentioned that was Strange Indeed too, I think. So yeah, a little jealous. Can't wait to hear about it. It's cool. Glad you're back.
Like we got to pull him in to like a Zoom call soon so he can tell us all of the adventures that go along with all the great photos that he took.
Yeah.
Because he did have quite a trip, and I really want to hear about it. Yeah. It's fun if you think about it. We're all taking little trips now, and we haven't been able to. We're really getting back into it, and I love it. It's it's cool. But if you'd like to submit your feedback, like Damien, Rima, Steve, Mark, or Jerry, you can do so by going to our Facebook page at facebook.com/runforyourlivespodcast. You can email us at runforyourlivespodcast@gmail.com. Tweet at us on Twitter at RFYL Podcast. Message us on Instagram at Run for Your Lives Podcast. If you are enjoying the show, please tell your friends. We are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, pretty much all the other podcast players, including YouTube. So go to runforyourlivespodcast.com for all the links you'll ever need and give us a review on Apple Podcasts, as that's the best way to share the love and get us out there even more. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely, we do. And speaking of sharing the love, of course, go ahead and give some shout outs to other podcasts in the podcast universe around us. What's going on? Of course, my other podcast, as I mentioned, Strange Indeed. We are covering Stranger Things.
Yay!
4 right now. We are the first 3 episodes are out. We'll be working on episode 4 next week. Oh my god, I can't wait to talk about that one.
So good. I love having you guys back in my ears once a week, because it's always so much fun the way that you guys break down the show, and I always want to know what Rima's theories are.
Mm-hmm.
So
she loves her theories, and she's right more often than she gives herself credit for.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. If you're hearing this, Rima, trust your gut, because you're usually right.
Yeah, it's been a blast watching Stranger Things. It is so hard to watch it week to week. Not even just because, I have so many other things I'm trying to watch. So that is easy to keep myself busy with other shows and movies and things. It's just the freaking spoilers everywhere are pissing me off. It gets frustrating. People just, can you not talk about a show for like a few weeks? Come on, help a brother out.
I have muted so many chat threads. Threads that are not even devoted to Stranger Things, because something comes in and I'm concerned.
Talked about it on Stranger Things this week. I got spoiled on a thing reading a Star Wars comment thread this week. So it's everywhere. Nowhere safe.
No,
it's ridiculous.
Nowhere is safe. No.
Doing the best
very
we
difficult.
can.
Yes.
And then also this week, I guess, was it released this week? Maybe last, I don't know. But it is out. It's released. Ozark is done. We are done. We covered the finale, the series finale of Ozark. That was a really fun one to talk about. So if you're an Ozark fan and you want to hear us cover the finale over on Stranger Things, me, Rima, and Wendy really broke that one down and had a lot of fun with that one. So yeah, that is there. It's out there. Man, we got so many other shows coming up soon on Stranger Things that we're already having to plan for. And it's where really already? So man, it's going to get busy. Because Umbrella Academy is coming back out soon. We have a date for the final season of Lock and Key.
I know.
Sweet Tooth finished filming, so that will be coming back out probably by the end of this year. Man, so many good things.
It's exciting because there's a lot of great TV coming.
Yes. It's
really exciting to know that that's in the pipeline.
Yeah. And speaking of great TV, of course, Obi-Wan Kenobi has been...
Oh my goodness.
So good. So definitely check out House Podcastica or the Star Wars TV cast for that coverage. It's Rich, Jason, Jonathan, and Eric, I think, are just kind of doing a round table. So it's always 3 of the 4 doing it and rotating. I don't know what 3 are supposed to be on this week for episode 4, but they'll get it. Whoever's on there, their coverage has been so good. A lot of Star Wars fans in the group. So, man, I'm just loving it. I'm a big Star Wars nerd, so it's been so much fun, for sure. Talked about Panels to Pixels with Mark. So this week, him and guest Rob are covering The Boys, Season 3, Episode 1, and Miss Marvel. And he's teasing there's a really super special episode coming up for number 200. I think I know exactly what it is, but I'm not going to talk about it yet. It is pretty cool. It is really,
so
really
excited.
Cool.
So excited that happened. And I just can't wait for it to be out in the universe.
Yeah, so keep an eye on Panels for that. We got some really good, episodes of some new shows. And maybe he won't mind me giving a little tease that it is an interview with somebody. He's got a really cool guest he's interviewing on Panels 200, so that'd be cool. Which, those 2 shows also, if you want more coverage of The Boys, because I think the first 3 episodes have all been covered, and then the pilot of Miss Marvel has been covered as well over on TV Podcast Industries with our friend Derek and his co-hosts.
They're busy.
Over there.
Always so busy over there.
Yes. So, yeah, The Boys, Miss Marvel, check those out on TV Podcast Industries as well. And let's see what else. Ben, talking about interviews. He has a lot of great interviews over on Wilhelm with his Spotlight series. So, of course, this past week, he released interviews for you Red Dead Redemption fans. Oh God, I love that game so much. Still, Red Dead 2 is my favorite game of all time.
It's amazing, right?
I'm watching some really good friends of mine Twitch streaming that game right now. My friend Heidi is playing through it, and that has been so much fun, but also really frustrating sometimes. I love you, Heidi, but man, but it's making me want to go back and replay it too. So
yeah, I want to play it. I've seen it played because for me, it's like a 30-hour movie.
Yeah,
because it's so well done. The graphics are the best I've ever seen. Yeah, like they're just incredible.
So incredible. So yeah, so Wilhelm Spotlight Series has had 2 episodes released this week, 2 separate interviews, one with Roger Clark, who is the voice of Arthur Morgan, and the other one with Rob Whitehoff, who is the voice of John Marston. So yeah.
Arthur Morgan is my favorite video game character ever.
So good.
He just is.
Definitely check those out, especially if you're a Red Dead fan like me and Daphne are. And yeah, man, I'm kind of jealous that Ben got them on to kind of talk.
I know.
Red Dead, and man, that's so cool.
So cool. I love it.
All right, but why don't we go ahead and give people an idea of what's going on next week right here on Run for Your Lives. You go ahead and get your feedback in now if you want to, if you want to get on it. Because we've got another Double Dip special coming up.
We do.
So what is that, and where are we starting with, Daphne?
All right. So when a bullied Swedish preteen makes a late-night friend who happens to have a strange appetite, the bodies start dropping around them. It doesn't help that her bumbling henchman is unable to deliver the sustenance she needs without botching the job. We're going to a dark place for the first episode in our second ever Double Dip as we discuss Thomas Alfredson's 2008 film, Let the Right One In.
Mm-hmm.
It's real dark, but it's really good. And there's a lot to unpack with that movie.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, a lot more than I even was expecting. So.
Yeah, me too. I like what we did with it, though. I'm really looking forward to getting that episode out there because we had a really good discussion because there's just a lot in there that's sensitive. Like there's a lot of sensitive subject matter. And I think we handled that really well.
Yeah, it was a great movie to jump into and really break down and talk about. And then the part of a Double Dip, of course, is the American remake, Let Me In, which we will cover in 2 weeks. So yeah, it was fun to kind of break those down, compare and contrast, and see what's going on. I had a really fun time with it. I always enjoy the Double Dips. I don't know what we'll do next season. I think I have an idea, but it might end up being like a quadruple dip, and that's all I'm going to say about that if we go that direction.
I definitely know what you're going to pick. I definitely know. It's in my head right now what you're going to want to do.
We might I don't know. We've talked about it directly, and maybe with a few other people. I don't know if that's here. But yeah, I'll give teases to what people might be able to figure out. I think it might be 4 movies, and I think we might do it as like an entire double dip. Quad dip month of October maybe would be fitting, and I'll leave it at that. I think so.
I think it'll be perfect. I like this one too because similar to other movies that have come up in our podcast universe, I saw the original, which was 2008, the Swedish film. Pake had not seen the original. I had not seen the remake, but Pake had seen the remake. Yeah. So it's really cool. Another opportunity where we are introducing movies to each other that the other had not seen.
Mm-hmm. A lot of fun.
Yeah. And with that, we've reached the end of another terrifying yet fun episode. Thanks, everyone, for listening. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And if you have to run, you better run for your lives.
Bye-bye.